You say that she has ruined your marriage.
Oh, she did. Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at huge scandals that got stars and shows taken off the air completely.
It was a very strange feeling to suddenly go through the diary and literally snowpake everything out.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 10. Ed Westwick.
I prefer the term ambitious, but whatever the label, we're the ones you better keep your eyes on.
He's best known for starring as Chuck Bass in Gossip Girl over in the US, but Westwick is actually British and grew up in Hertfordshire. Post Gossip Girl, he returned to Blighty to front White Gold, alongside two ex-in-betweeners, Joe Thomas and James Buckley.
I do not deserve an angel like you in my life.
I know.
But in 2017, very serious allegations of sexual assault and worse were made against Westwick by numerous women. The LAPD couldn't find enough evidence to prove Westwick's guilt beyond reasonable doubt, so he didn't end up being charged by prosecutors. The scandal still resulted in White Gold's demise. Series 2 eventually went out, but it's doubtful we'll ever see a Series 3.
One more thing. Salesmen are like vampires. Never invite one into your home. Once you do, we won't leave your side until we taste blood.
Number 9. Gary Lineker.
He's refused to apologise for a post comparing the language used to launch the policy to the sort of language used in 1930s Germany.
Star striker with 80 England caps, is Gary Lineker beyond reproach? Not according to the BBC, which kicked him off of Match of the Day back in 2023 for criticising the Tory government on Twitter. The BBC is supposed to be non-partisan, though people across the political spectrum don't believe it is. And so, its biggest star railing against the government was a big problem.
Robert Jenrick called for Lineker to be stopped from working on the BBC. Lineker is freelance, who has a long-term agreement with the corporation, but he is not an employee.
But the BBC's social media guidelines didn't actually have rules about this at the time, so by posting on his personal account, Lineker wasn't breaking any of them. His fellow football pundits later took themselves off air in solidarity, leaving Match of the Day with no hosts nor commentary for a whole weekend.
He's not stepping back, it's not his decision. He's been taken off air by the BBC because he has refused to apologise for his tweet.
Number 8. Brass Eye's last episode.
These are our children. They skip down our streets, but the paedophile is waiting.
Broadcasters already seem to be trying to get Chris Morris to stop making television for years, but finally they had enough ammunition to succeed when Brass Eye released its notorious special in 2001.
People like this are everywhere.
Any chance of a second series was quashed when the special ended up being so controversial that the government commented on it. It was simply too satirical for people to handle, and many in the public and in government thought that it was mocking victims of serious crimes.
Security footage of a paedophile disguised as a school. He's been getting away with it in Sheffield for 12 years. Do you know him? Have you seen him? Please call.
In actuality, it's mocking sensationalist tabloid reporting about sex offenders. Even the Met got involved in investigating Morris, though making an episode of television isn't a crime, obviously.
In 1986, Jez North was convicted for multiple acts. We believe his story is actually too upsetting to transmit. We only do so tonight with that proviso.
Number 7. Lawrence Fox. With his career largely in the toilet, Lawrence Fox has remade himself as a political commentator, finding a home on GB News.
Free speech is everything, but it comes with responsibility.
But it wasn't to last. In 2023, Fox made sexist and highly offensive comments about left-wing journalist Ava Evans. We won't repeat what he said, but suffice it to say, he wasn't limiting his criticisms to her ideology and where they disagreed.
Whether Lawrence should stay on air is not my decision, and Dan's absence tonight is also beyond my control.
He was immediately suspended, along with Dan Wooten, who was laughing along with Fox's remarks, and soon let go completely. Other GB News presenters pledged to leave if Fox wasn't reinstated, and were then shown the door themselves.
But the comments made by Lawrence, in my view, were sexist, misogynistic, and unusually, in the frenzied climate of the so-called culture wars, have been condemned across the political spectrum.
Number 6. Philip Scofield.
You, me and all of us at This Morning gave our love and support to someone who was not telling the truth.
This Morning hasn't disappeared, of course, despite the departures of its two biggest names. But there's no chance Scofield was going to be allowed back onto ITV's Daytime Titan after this all came out. Not only that, but he pulled out of all his other TV commitments, leaving Dancing on Ice and various award shows too.
In a statement, Mr. Scofield said he had lied about the relationship to ITV as well as his agents, lawyers and family.
He did return to television to talk to the BBC about the scandal and its fallout shortly after it happened. But he's now persona non grata in show business.
I did have a consensual on-off relationship with a younger male colleague at This Morning.
This all came about when he was found to have consistently lied to ITV bosses about an alleged affair with a male runner. Turned out the rumours were true all along. Number 5. Utopia.
I mean, the thing is, it's a comic.
No, it's a graphic novel. It's called the Utopia Experiment.
The British original sparked controversy at the time for its graphic violence, but it's today notable for centering around a mysterious looming pandemic called Russian flu and a conspiracy to cover it up.
Conspiracies not really very now.
Are you saying that you think this is real?
This was all well and good in 2013, but in 2020, Amazon Prime aired an American remake of it. We were 6 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, and a show about mysterious diseases, conspiracy theories, and dangerous vaccines clearly wasn't what the world needed.
Vaccines. That reminds me, we've got to get the updated rubella before GPs start griping.
A second series was never made, and people were surprised the first one actually got put out, especially since, on top of all the real-world issues, it wasn't a very good remake. Luckily, we'll always have the original to enjoy.
According to our research, the H1N1 pathogen, this new strain, is about to mutate and will have potential for mortality rates in the hundreds of thousands.
Number 4. Hugh Edwards. Only shortly after the scandal around Philip Scofield made headlines, and the BBC's biggest news anchor, Hugh Edwards, found himself in a similar media storm.
We can now reveal he is the unnamed BBC presenter at the heart of the Sun newspaper's allegations.
The Sun published allegations from a teenage boy, or, more specifically, from the parents of a teenage boy, that Edwards had paid for inappropriate photos of him. The Sun was very careful not to name Edwards at the time, though his wife soon came out to confirm that it was him, and that he was in hospital.
Hugh is suffering from serious mental health issues, as is well documented. He has been treated for severe depression in recent years.
The Met investigated, but found that no crime had been committed, which was also what the teenager had said the whole time.
Well, we have been trying to ask the Sun some of those questions posed over the last few days, but their response so far has been no comment.
Regardless, it's not expected that Edwards will ever return to the BBC. Number 3. Freddy Flintoff's crash. Top Gear had already defied expectations by coming back after the unceremonious departures of Clarkson, Hammond and May.
The bloke's hurt himself. It's not an opportunity for you to gloat or say, oh, I prefer the other team. You could possibly just say, I don't know, get well, Freddy.
It took a while to find its feet, but the final iteration, with Chris Harris, Paddy McGuinness and Freddy Flintoff, certainly had its fans. However, Flintoff was victim of not one, but 2 horror crashes during his tenure on the show.
Now, the BBC says that it won't resume filming of Top Gear's latest series. That's after the presenter Freddy Flintoff was injured in a crash last year.
The last one of these was so severe that production was immediately paused. The BBC paid millions of pounds to him to cover lost earnings while he recovered from serious injuries.
This might not be evident on the outside, but he's definitely burning inside.
In late 2023, it was finally revealed that Top Gear wouldn't be coming back, at least not for a long time. Number 2, the death of Michael Lush.
You all know the tragic, terrible event that led to the ending of the series. And
Flintoff may have been unlucky, but at least he's alive. The same, sadly, can't be said for Michael Lush, who was killed while rehearsing a stunt on the Late Late Breakfast Show in 1986.
Because of the tragic accident involving Michael Lush while preparing for tonight's edition of the Late Late Breakfast Show, the BBC has decided to cancel this and all further editions of the programme.
There were myriad health and safety issues before this, with dangerous stunt performers, many of whom were members of the public volunteering, seriously injuring themselves. But Lush died after a bungee jumping suit went wrong and his clip broke. It was later found that the clip used was absolutely unfit for this purpose.
Well, I think people realised that this was a terrible shock and it was a tragedy that came out of the blue. There wasn't an inevitability that this would ever happen.
The BBC agreed to pay his family £120,000, but still found itself taken to court for not enacting proper safety measures. The show never returned. Number 1. Jeremy Kyle.
Gemma's your ex?
Definitely.
Which is hardly surprising because you slept with her sister.
I don't know, Jeremy.
It's always harrowing when a television show results in somebody's death. And in truth, it's still not clear exactly how many people may have died because of the Jeremy Kyle show. In 2019, news broke that a guest who appeared on the show the previous week, Steve Diamond, had taken his own life after failing a lie detector test. His episode was never broadcast, and the show was immediately cancelled.
Given the seriousness of this event, ITV has also decided to suspend both filming and broadcasting of the Jeremy Kyle show with immediate effect.
There was an inquiry and some calls for Kyle himself to face criminal charges. Then Channel 4 broadcast a documentary, Death on Daytime, in which many more people were interviewed who claimed the show contributed to the tragic deaths of their loved ones too.
He's a manipulative, controlling BS merchant, and you described the sister, right, as a toxic human being who ruined your marriage.
Let us know in the comments which famous faces you never want to see on TV again.
So it's all a bit of a tragedy, and it's obviously much worse than we first thought.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.